moments of panic, like as you know how you dozing off to sleep and like your mind, like a whole bunch of thoughts just start coming through your mind. And I'll be so comfy cozy and like just about dozing off to sleep. And then I'll be like, what if you never work again in your life? What if you never make money? What if you're 70 years old and you have to live in a homeless shelter because at 43 you lost your job and you never got back on your like, yo, all of these crazy thoughts have been going through my mind. This is like my fifth time pressing record. I don't know why this is hard or seemingly is hard. Probably just because it's my first time doing it. Hi, my name is Joss. I have been laid off for the fourth time in my adult life. I am 43 years old and I am annoyed. I am frustrated. I was mad. I'm not mad anymore. I am very disappointed in the circumstances, a little disappointed in myself because I feel like I could have done things differently, not to prevent me from getting laid off. My layoff had nothing to do with my performance. I was only with this company for 8 months before being laid off. I saw the writings on the wall when I came into the company. The person who hired me was laid off about 3 months after I started with the company. And then I was laid off on the same day as my manager. But I'm disappointed because I let myself once again be in a position to be reliant solely on one source of income and let another, I guess, outside entity be the determining factor for if I make money or not. Like, I feel like I haven't experienced four layoffs, having worked for 50 different companies, doing 50 different jobs, working both full time and part time, working for myself at some points, and having all of this experience, seeing layoffs happen before. I've been fired before because of different reasons. When I was 14, I got fired because the manager at McDonald's was flirting with me and I didn't flirt back with him, or I didn't do whatever he wanted me to do. So he fired me on the spot, whatever. And I didn't know my voice at that time to speak up, but I've been fired from different jobs, even as an adult as well. So it's like, I know better. Like, I'm saying that to say I've been in between jobs enough times to know like things that I could have done to make this in between phase a little bit easier for myself. Now that there are some things that I did right, and I want to share both with you. The things that I know that I could have done differently, like looking back on it, and things that I did right. So if you're dealing with a layoff right now, or if you anticipate your company going through layoffs, I mean, with everything that's going on in the world right now, I feel like many more of us may be experiencing layoffs at some point during this year or in the next few years. So some of this stuff might help you. You might be able to relate to some of these things that you could have done differently, and maybe you can start implementing now, like some things I have to think about doing going forward, just to kind of like bulletproof bulletproof my life, so that if this does happen again, I'll be in a better position. So the first thing that I wish I would have done is just in general stuck things out, but more specifically stuck out getting a bachelor's degree. As I'm looking for jobs right now, I see a lot of people want bachelor's degrees and master's degrees. When I was younger, I don't think it was that big of a deal. And maybe it isn't that big of a deal right now, but with the amount of experience that I have, I feel like if I also had a bachelor's degree to add on to that, or a master's degree to add on to that, and I don't even think it matters in what it was in. If I had a bachelor's degree or a master's degree coupled with 10 years of experience, in one industry or in one field, I think that would help me fare better in finding a job right now. The next thing is I wish I would have learned and perfected, as many hard skills as I possibly could have. So I'm good on soft skills, multitasking, relationship building, customer service, sales, like all of those, I guess like intangible skills. I have a plethora of those. But when it comes to hard skills like different certifications, knowing certain software programs like really, really well. Like I know Microsoft Office Suite, I know Google Suite. I know things like that, but the hard skills, like I really wish that I would have taken time to learn certain computer programs and like really, really perfected those so that I could add those onto my resume. And I do feel like that would help during this time of me doing a job search. The other thing that I wish I would have done is planned a career vertical. So I've always been the type of person that I just allow my heart to lead me. I'm just like, well, my heart and the money. So if I decide, I decided I wanted to be a massage therapist, just like, I don't know, just wrote it down one day, like, I think I want to try that. Went to school for massage therapy, worked in that industry for about 6 years, and then I decided that I didn't want to do that anymore. And then I went to school for something else for a little while and moved into that industry. I worked in childcare. Like that was just my mindset. I just wanted to try different things because I get bored easily, and I do. I get bored not with life, but I get bored with like doing the same things day to day over and over again. So I want to switch it up and try something else. And then just if a thought popped into my mind and I'm like, ooh, that sounds intriguing. Ooh, that sounds like I want to try it. I would research it and figure out how I could get into it and do that. So there was never like, okay, if I was in when I was doing early childhood, I never said like I'm gonna start out as an assistant teacher and then I'm gonna move into being a lead teacher and then I want to move into being a director and then I want to go into the school. Like I never thought that way. But I think if I had have thought that way, once again, it would look better on my resume and it would just help me feel better with looking for a job. I would have more, I guess, of a solid base of experience in one area to say, like, these are the things that I've done and this is what I'm able to contribute to your company. But I am where I am right now. Next thing, learn a trade. So in my case, I did learn a trade. And when I say a trade, I mean something that is not a 4 year degree, something that's not even a 2 year degree, like in a college. So it could be phlebotomy, it could be radiology, it could be, in my case, I learned interior design, and that was a trade. It took me about, did it even take a whole year? It didn't even take a whole year. I want to say my program was 9 months full time and then I had to get a state certification, and then you have to keep up continuing education hours. So I say that because if you have a trade, uh, that's something that you can always fall back on. And like if you're in between jobs and you're like, hey, I know how to draw blood. That's phlebotomy. I know how to draw blood. I can go to a clinic and work even part time, or I can go to a hospital, and try to get a full time or part time job, even if that's not something that you want to do. If you kept up your continuing education or whatever you need to do to keep your certificate or your license or your accreditation for that, that's something that you can always fall back on. So, yes, I had an interior design license, but I let the license go because I thought, I don't want to do that anymore. And I'm not going to continue to spend money and spend time to do continuing education and keep that going. Like my mind is in a different place. I'm not going to do that ever again in life. But guess what? I would damn sure be rubbing some backs right now for, 85, $100 an hour to pay my bills. So that's something that I wish I would have done and held on to. I did it, but I didn't hold on to it. The next thing I wish I would have done differently is I wish I would have started an IRA. So I've worked for companies where I've had 401k, simple IRA, their retirement programs. But I say I wish I would have started an IRA because it's an individual retirement account. So what happened with not this last company, but the company that I worked for before that, when I decided to leave that company, I had a simple IRA, I could not contribute to that IRA for the next 2 years. So that money, it still continued to grow because it was invested in an EFT or whatever they had it invested in. I wasn't really paying too much attention to that. So it still continued to grow, but I wasn't able to contribute to it because I was no longer working for the company. I had a 2 year holding period before I could contribute to it. Had I done an IRA, that money would always be in my control. I would have still been able to contribute to it even when I moved on to the next company. And at this point, it would be bigger. One of the things that I know I'm kind of like a little panicky about is my retirement because it's not as hefty as it could be. First of all, I should have started an IRA when I was young. So if anybody is in their 20s and is watching this, I don't care if you contribute $100 a year, $1,000 a year. Start your own IRA and contribute as much as you can. The max is 7,000 until you get to be, I don't know, 50 something. But the max is 7,000 that you can contribute to it per year. If you can max it out, do that. If you can only contribute $100 or $1,000, do that because the amount of money that you will have in it by the time you reach retirement age will be substantially more than if you do what I did and wait until you're older to start an IRA. Yeah, so I would be able to pull from that money right now. Like if I really needed to pull from it, I would be able to do that right now. And there would be more there for me to pull from to be able to pay my bills. So yeah, could have done that differently. The other thing is I wish I would have learned about investing. Um, had I started investing in my 20s, I could have some little eggs saved up for myself right now. And listen, like things happen in life. Obviously, you don't put money into your retirement. You don't put money into savings to, you know, pull it out because you got laid off from a job. Like that's not the mindset that you go into it with. But when you do hit a hard time and you do hit a rough patch in your life, that money is there for you. So had I had a portfolio set up when I was younger and had money invested in different things, I could, pull from a CD right now that I had revolving and not have any penalty from pulling from it because it will have, it would have matured by this point. Or even if, I had money in an IRA, let's say, from time I was younger, and there was a penalty to pull from it, it still could save me from being evicted. It could save me from going hungry. It could save me from, whatever if I was laid off and it actually got to that point. So I wish I would have learned. I know a little bit more about investing now, but I wish I would have taken the time to learn about it when I was younger. And then I would definitely have more money stacked up right now to be able to depend on. So those are all the things that I wish I would have done differently. Now to talk about some of the things that I did get right or the things that I feel like I got right is more often than not, I stuck to a budget. So I've never been the type of person, thank God, because I know that there are a lot of people who are just spenders. And if money hits their hand, if money goes into their pocket, it's immediately going back out. Like, I've never been that kind of person. I've always been really good about creating a budget for myself. So, taking my bills, whether they are, what do they call it, like static, the bills that are the same every month, and the bills that are variable every month, figuring that out, and then seeing what money I have left over, putting some money into savings, having some money to spend, and then I would create like little buckets. Like I want to have a little travel fund, or I used to put aside money for a health savings account for myself and just budget my money and not, I was really good about like not going over my budget and not spending more than what I set aside for each category: groceries, laundry, phone bill, cable bill at the time, those types of things. I was really good about sticking to a budget. And by doing that, it allowed me to, like right now, if I wasn't a budgeter, I think this would be a whole lot harder for me to now try to figure out, like, I don't have the same amount of money coming in. So how do I budget? how do I make sure that I'm able to pay my bills and I'm able to sustain myself. Like just having that mindset already built up over the years, I feel really confident and comfortable with budgeting now. And also it allowed me to be able to, put some money towards savings. Which brings me to the next point, which is I saved 12 months of monthly expenses. So I didn't do that overnight. I did that over the period of many years. I just consistently worked on it, putting money to the side in a savings account. And now I have it in a high yield savings account so that it's, earning more interest and making a little bit of money for me as well. But yeah, 12 months of savings is what I put aside, which is why, like, I still get panicky about certain things, but I feel okay financially right now. Now don't get me wrong, like that money is just enough money to pay my bills. It's not for anything extracurricular, so I'm not gonna be having fun. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try, but it is solely for the purpose of paying my bills, so that I have a place to live, so that I have food to eat, and that's it. But I did do that for 12 months, so that is something that I did right. So it's like I'm able to breathe a little bit easier right now. I still know that I got to put the fire underneath my own ass to be able to, you know, keep looking for jobs and keep figuring out ways that I'm going to bring in money next. But yeah, it's not hopeless right now. I don't feel like I don't know what I'm going to do. I know that I have that cushion there to be able to sustain me for the next 12 months. So, yeah. And then the last thing that I want to share in the category of what I did right is I've always lived below my means. So I spoke about budgeting. That is a part of it. And I have always, I've never spent more than what I brought in. And if you know, you know. Like I used to think when I was younger, like how does anyone ever spend more money than what they bring in? If you start getting into credit cards, or even if you don't get into credit cards, you could just not be a person that's good with budgeting, and you can, you know, pay your rent or pay your mortgage and pay your phone bill and pay for groceries and then turn around and then go out, right? Or go get your nails done or go get your hair done. And then turn around and be like, oops, I don't have gas money. Or oops, my heat is about to get cut off because I didn't pay my gas bill. If you live in a place where you pay gas, or if you pay water, my water bill is about to get paid off. Like I always lived below my means. Like I never spent more money even in my head than what I had coming in. So that's what I've done over the years. I don't keep cash on me. I just use the debit or the credit card, and that kind of like makes me be like, okay, I know that I don't need to be spending that, like pulling my card out to swipe or whatever. It's just like, no, I'm not going to do it. So that's the last thing. Okay, so the moral of the story is this: if you've never experienced a layoff, good for you. I hope that you never have to experience it. But if you think that you may experience one in the near or even distant future, I hope that some of this information was helpful to you to just say, like, here's some things that I can do to prepare myself for that moment. Thank you for staying until the end. If you did, feel free to leave me a comment just saying stay to the end. And I'll see you next time.